let's talk about the lawsuit. If these stories, their existence, how often they're hidden, the concept that this could be done by men that you thought were good, people that you put on pedestals, if any part of this surprises you, you and I have been living on very different Azeroths. Every time I watch a video or I read a statement where the speaker talks about how out of left field this was, how they never could have imagined their dear old Blizzard harboring such abhorrent behavior, how they knew some of these guys and could have sworn up and down how reputable they were, my blood boils a little hotter. I've been playing WoW since I was 7, and I have fond memories of dying to world mobs in the Draenei starting area in Burning Crusade, and farming Ghost Iron Ore in the Valley of the Four Winds in Mist of Pandaria, and of chain wiping to the seat of the Triumvirate in Legion. I have been a marginalized citizen of Azeroth for 14 years now, and I have been witnessing these behaviors from the moment that I was able to log on alone. I would wager that a lot of the employees at Blizzard grew up playing video games. They grew up in the frat boy culture that many articles have outlined. The Boys Club of video games still exists today, and it has existed for what is now decades. I believe that these atrocities begin here, in our communities, in our in-game interactions, in our voice comms. It all starts with us. My name is Celine. I go by Cellux or Celluxies, and I'm a competitive World of Warcraft PvE player. I ended Season 1 of Shadowlands as one of the top 100 Holy Paladins in the world for Mythic Keystone Dungeon score on Raider.io. I've been a cutting-edge raider for 4 raid tiers now. My first raid tier at all was Old Deer, and then I found myself raid leading a team to Cutting Edge in Battle of Dazara Lore, and I've been Cutting Edge since then. I have the credentials, but I often don't get the respect that I deserve, or the respect that any woman and any player deserves. I'm going to open up a bit regarding my experiences with World of Warcraft and its community, but know that these could easily happen in any other MMO or any other multiplayer game. I've been playing WoW on and off since 2007. I took a hiatus from 2013 to 2017 to focus on school, and then at near the end of 2017, I fell very ill and I was forced to medically withdraw from my dream university. I turned to World of Warcraft for comfort and a sense of familiarity and to have a social life again. I made my own account for the first time, and I no longer had the security blanket of playing my dad's characters. I was young and I wanted to be part of something, and for that I was taken advantage of a million times over. By the time I turned 19, I had been stalked and doxxed twice, and by the time I turned 20, I found myself in a trail of manipulative friendships by men much older than me who I thought wanted the best for me. Every single one of those was predatory, and I was the prey. This shit exists in every part of the game, and I'm done being quiet about it. Every woman I know in any gaming community has her own gut-wrenching stories. A lot are extreme, but there are a lot of small things that contribute to that frat boy gamer culture. They're technically known as microaggressions, which are defined by the dictionary as indirect, subtle, or unintentional acts of discrimination against a marginalized group. Let me reiterate, microaggressions are often unintentional. If you're going to call yourself an ally to women in gaming, including trans women and other marginalized groups, you need to learn to be aware of these things and call them out when you see it. These frequently aren't noticed by those who aren't the target of these attacks, and they're often dismissed even by the people experiencing them. The few times that the people subjected to it try to stand up for themselves, we are often told that we're being too sensitive or misinterpreting the situation or taking it the wrong way, and that we need to lighten up and have a laugh and live a little. It's basic human decency to call out the outright acts of discrimination that are being outlined in the California Department of Fair Employment and Housing versus Activision Blizzard lawsuit. But it requires empathy and awareness to call people out on the microaggressions that you don't experience, or that you do experience and you brush off. And that is where we as a community need to start. Side note, when I say marginalized groups, I'm not only talking about women. Women are my focus today, but we need to keep in mind that there are varying microaggressions in most interactions involving marginalized groups such as women, LGBT plus people, people of color, disabled people, neurodivergent people, and other groups. Hopefully, you're wondering, alright Cell, I understand that the sexism that allowed these abhorrent acts to occur at Blizzard to such an extent and for so long completely permeates gaming culture as a whole. How can I be a better ally? A simple Google search of microaggressions against women in gaming got me to a couple of interesting research papers whose authors very effectively outline the issues that I'm trying to highlight today. The links to these papers will be in the description, but we're going to go over them as well. I highly suggest taking a read to them, though. They're fairly short. You can kind of skim it and see the points. I really enjoyed just knowing that these documents existed. So we're going to talk about the Gamer Girls and Microaggression research paper, which goes through the points of what the microaggressions are categorized as well as some very fitting examples that we could easily apply to World of Warcraft and existing in World of Warcraft communities online. Here we have the discussion and analysis portion of the Gamer Girls and Microaggression paper. This will most accurately portray the points that I'm trying to make, as well as gives some very good examples of what we're doing. I'm going to read through this and give you my own examples that have happened to me in World of Warcraft, and occasionally I'll mention other girls that I've seen this happen to them, but I don't want to speak on anybody else's experience, so for the most part I'll just be using my own. Women have been subject to regular and demeaning abuses in various multiplayer platforms. Sue mentions that microaggressions are of the following themes: sexual objectification, second-class citizenship, sexist language, assumptions of inferiority, traditional gender role assumptions, social invisibility, and sexist jokes. We place here the experiences of women from in-depth interview as well as qualitatively analyze the microaggressions women face on a regular basis. It's very easy for somebody to just check every single box while they talk to a girl in the first 30 seconds of joining a voice chat and hearing, "Girl on the mic?" Yes, girl on the mic. And she's better than you. Here we have sexual objectification. Female gamers are stereotyped as gamer girl or gamer girl, and they are objectified as sexually attractive beings, erratically holding controllers. Such identities are widespread these days that many youngsters self-objectify them to such stereotypes and seek recognition from gamers of the opposite gender. Self-objectification is also seen as an impact of identity crisis. Aggravated consciousness to social standards of physical appearance is also triggered by self-objectification. I love this paper because they've put into words something that I have experienced for over a decade. I did nothing but seek validation from people for years, and I fell into all of those gamer girl stereotypes because I made myself fall into those gamer girl stereotypes. It breaks my heart, and I don't want another girl to have to go through this. I don't want another girl to have to go through what I went through. Second-class citizenship. Gender profiling in multiplayer platforms are also microaggressions. There's a systematic discrimination of female gamers like they don't belong in the virtual arenas of video games. Since video games were dominated by men since their inception in the late 1970s, they were considered a man's world. Since there is an active participation of women these days, and it is now necessary to be socially inclusive. This is also very true. I get a lot of people who are shocked that I am good at World of Warcraft, and I use the term good very loosely. I'm never a person to like show off and toot my own horn and that kind of thing, but it's pretty unmistakable that I'm better than most of the casual player base when it comes to WoW. I couldn't tell you how many times people come in from Raider.io or from another third-party website that my stream is on, and they're shocked that it's me behind the character. I get people who meet me in-game and come to my stream and are like, "Oh god, you're a girl." Yes, I'm a girl. It shouldn't be a shock. It should just be normal. Sexist language. Many female gamers report on how women are constantly harassed in the in-game chat rooms for just being there. Calling the female gamer a bitch or a slut is way too common in such platforms. The study showed that women were disproportionately bullied and verbally abused by male gamers in multiplayer platforms just because they happened to be women. This is also very true. I hate doing anything in a pug group, in a pickup group. Anything where I have to use the LFG tool and they require voice, I will not do. I just won't do it because it's not worth going in there knowing that I'm going to be harassed the moment that I open my mic and speak. It makes it easier to not speak, which is fucking awful. Assumptions of inferiority. Many male gamers feel that female gamers perform inferior when compared to men in gaming. The study by because Nekoff and Rose also showed that men do not follow a female lead even if she had the skill to outrank all of her fellow players. They also noted that female gamers attracted verbal abuses from least-scoring, low-skilled male players. This is so well put. I was a guild master a couple years ago, and no one ever took me seriously because I'm a girl. And even if they thought they did, even if people had the best intentions, they were still capable of all these microaggressions. Like we talked about earlier, it's unintentional most of the time. It is so frustrating to have something like the title of Guildmaster and Raid Lead, and to still be dismissed because I'm a woman. It makes it impossible to feel like my opinion matters. Here they say, they also noted that female gamers attracted verbal abuses from the least scoring low-skilled male players. Fragile masculinity is a bitch, and men will take it out on women around them for being better than them, for being whatever. They'll take it out on women, and it's not fair to us. Traditional gender role assumptions. Many female gamers who were verbally harassed report that the male participants often use abuses like, "Go make me a sandwich," reinforcing traditional gender roles. In a multiplayer platform, a female gamer is treated as an alien, like she does not belong there. Games made for girls are mostly simulators and strategy-based. Such girly games do not interest most girls. Even creating games based on traditional gender roles amount to gender polarization and thereby end up alienating girls from the virtual arena. This is incredibly true. I love a good dress-up game, but the reason that I'm a melee player in World of Warcraft, I play a Holy Paladin, because I like being in there, I like being in combat, I like being part of the action. But people see me and they think, oh, girl healer, and she likes transmog, so she must just be here to stand in the back and let other people do things for her while she looks cute. Most of those abuses, I don't get it as much anymore. Most of them came when I was maining a Holy Priest back in Battle of Azeroth. In the beginning of Battle for Azeroth, I mained Holy Priest at the end of Legion and for the first tier of BFA, and I got this shit all the time. The Holy Priest jokes never stop. In fact, I'm a perpetrator of them because I go, oh well, I was subjected to it, so I might as well make the joke to make it easier for other people to digest it. I don't even know. But I have to stop doing that. Even if stereotypes are true, we shouldn't be perpetrating the negative meanings that go with it. Social invisibility. Female gamers get ignored by game creators and by hardcore gaming communities most of the time. With the female population climbing over 52% of gamers, there should be gender-sensitive games in the market. Instead, we have games reinforcing male dominance and sexism. There has been a growing concern over how women have to be depicted in video games. However, very less games have gender-sensitively portrayed women and have featured female protagonists. Not everybody gotta have their tits out all the time. You can be a strong woman, and you can be proud of your sexuality, and you can also be modest, powerful, and all of these things. I mean, here's my deal. In real life, if a woman wants to have her tits out, good for her. You go, girl. You know what the people want, and you deliver. Incredible. Capitalize. But if it's a male creator creating this big booba, big butt character, that's not okay. I don't think that men should be objectifying women any more than they already do in real life. Sexist jokes. Sexist jokes have always been common when men gather. Since multiplayer video games too are where people virtually gather, sexist jokes exist in gaming arenas. Since sexist jokes are considered a part of sexual objectification, they're not to be encouraged. Sexist humor not only changes behavior, but has a strong impact on attitudes and prejudices against women. Since a lot of games come with sexual themes, sexist jokes are not a rarity in such platforms. Yeah. Like I said, I just don't join pug groups that require voice, and I don't want to be in a guild where this shit happens, and I don't want to be in a community where this shit happens. It happens enough in real life, and we should be able to log on to a fantasy video game and get away from all of the abuse that we're put through otherwise. There are 3 degrees of microaggression: micro-assault, micro-insult, and micro-invalidation. Women are subjected to invariably all degrees of microaggressions. Prolonged exposure to such gendered setups can affect their attitudes and behavior toward the opposite gender. Video games most certainly have cultivational effects, and such effects include having an impact on the social identity of individuals. Some women are affected by derogatory and degrading aggressions, while others face this crisis and adopt it in an identity and objectify themselves. I've been in both of those boats. This shit hurts to read. Oh, I should note, even if you think that it's okay, even if you think that the girl in the group thinks it's funny or that she's playing along, laughter and playing along are ingrained defense mechanisms for women. I mean, you'll see that I've laughed at some of these things, and it's because it fucking hurts, and my defense mechanism is to laugh it off. This shit sucks. The conclusion of this paper is video games are one of the most communicative media that we have today. The advent of motor-controlled games have further enhanced the power of communication. Video games have facilitated the next generation communication prospects. Such a powerful medium has to be weeded off to be used for more constructive purposes than for mere entertainment and derogation. Words are hard. Anyways, gender inclusiveness may open the door to many positive impacts in socially sensitive gamers. Recommendations. Oh, they have recommendations. That's Pog. Multiplayer platforms should be self-moderated. Players should be sensitized regarding gender. Active participation of women in gaming platforms, regardless of such violence, should be encouraged. There should be gender-sensitive portrayal of female characters in video games. Such portrayals may have positive cultivational effects on gamers of opposite gender. I'm not going to go through the other paper. I'll give it to you in the description to read, because it is very interesting, but I think that this covered most of the points I wanted to make. I'm going to go through some other stuff that I've experienced that I think people should be aware of. Women are often not taken seriously when it comes to high-end World of Warcraft. I've bounced around guilds for 2.5 years after I was guildmaster of a guild. I bounced around for, I think actually 1.5 years. It was just 1.5 years. Looking for a guild that would take me seriously and also not make me the object of sexual jokes, and a place where I could still be human. I could still be a woman, a lesbian. I could be all these things that are very important to my identity without being harassed for it, without being belittled for it. And I am on a team now that I have found a comforting position in, but it shouldn't have taken me 1.5 years to get here. And it shouldn't have taken me 1.5 years of abuse from the various guilds that I tried to be in to get here. Women are often rebuffed when we ask questions, the same questions that our male counterparts ask, but now, because it's us asking, we're stupid and we're not paying attention and all of these other things that are just horrible, because personally, I want to learn and I want to ask questions without fear of being told that I should already know them. And then some other person, some guy asks the same question and it's like, oh, it's just this and this. That's not okay. We need to be careful using gendered language. Something like, I have very slowly made peace with being one of the boys. It's safer to be one of the boys than to be the only girl on the team. And that's a horrifying concept too. But gendered language in general, the gaming population now is, they said 52%. Over 52% of the gaming population are women. And we need to stop assuming that everyone in the group is a man. Because this doesn't even include non-binary people. If somebody in your pickup group joins voice and they refuse to use their mic, can we just respect that? Because there have been multiple times where I joined a group. Joining a group and joining a voice channel and not using my mic, I have been called out for being a girl simply because I didn't turn on my mic, which is my business and my information, and I'm only there for one fucking heroic raid kill. You guys, they don't need to know my gender. It's not relevant. It's really not relevant. Along with that, there's been this constant entitlement to my information. People want to know my legal name. People want to know where I live. People want to know, like, so many things about me. And I'm fine now with sharing a lot of my life, but that's because I hate saying this, that's because I'm an internet personality, and I've made my peace with it, and there's a lot of my life that I want to share and that I want to bring awareness to. But not every woman in World of Warcraft needs to be subjected to that every time that she joins a group or a guild or anything like that. Just because we're women doesn't mean that you have any more entitlement to our information. Every time somebody comes into my chat and says, oh, you're actually pretty good for a girl, or oh, you're actually really pretty, I wasn't expecting that, I want to smack them upside the head. Please don't say that. And if you're ever giving a compliment, please don't include actually. That's such stop negging me. I'm gay, I don't care. Quit it. I know that people are shocked that this comes from Blizzard because Blizzard has been fuck the lights again. I know that people can be shocked that this came from Blizzard. Good old Blizzard, dear old Blizzard that they've loved for so many years. But like every other corporation that exists in our capitalist society, Blizzard is excellent at performative activism. And the rainbow pins and the diversity hires and shit like that, they don't mean anything until you're actually in that office. I guess this video is just, it's a little bit of a cry for help. Please, even when no one is watching, especially when no one is watching, you need to speak up. The only way to distort the echo chamber is by talking. Hi there! Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, then you'd probably enjoy my other content. You can find me at Celluxies on every single social media platform. Almost every single social media platform, and the ones that you can't, you can find in my link tree, which is generally in the bio of every single one of my social medias. So go and check that out. Make sure that you like and subscribe to this video, and tell me what else you want to see. What do you want to see more of?